He's like he just has this ruthless mentality, and that is
he's
honestly
a childish
him
goofball who's been given an insane amount of power by leading these biking marauders, and that actually makes him kind of scary, because at first you're like laughing at him, you think he's ridiculous, you think his Moses beard is ridiculous, you think his fucking like cape and everything, and then you just witness like the depths of what he's willing to do out of greed. And how sadistic he is, how he tortures people. I mean, shit, one of the first things he does, he literally drinks Furiosa's tears while he's crucifying her mother, and calls them, ooh, the tears of sorrow are way more zesty than like the ones of joy or whatever.
Which would
I was
imply
like, Jesus
that he has
Christ.
like a chart somewhere where he's marked down the taste
track
of tears. Yeah, it's like, dude, oh my God, you've been doing this for a little while, huh? I think
or
it's
he's
great.
doing full on like Hitcher style, like removing people's limbs by chains and bikes and driving in different directions. Like he goes to some pretty nasty fucking places, and I mean that's what's meant to sort of, you know, convert Furiosa, as she goes from this girl who, again, in this very biblical style, is basically in the Garden of Eden, is kidnapped from it, and then experiences what the actual desperate outside world is, and what people who in far more horrible circumstances have to be like in order to survive. Because if you're not as fucking strong and crazy as this dude, you just don't live to tell the tale, right?
Yeah, exactly.
These are the people who make it, and that's what's been so interesting about the Mad Max stories, I think, through all of them, is that you feel like the evolutionary process has occurred. The survival of the fittest has occurred, and the fittest people are just the most, who can dress the most ridiculously, who can be the most flamboyant, and who is willing to be the most fucking sadistic and violent, right?
Yeah,
and that's such a cool idea for a world. Those are the only people who live in your world. That's a fucking crazy movie.
Yeah, and I do think it says something about like just humanity in general, and like cult leaders and all of that. It's like he's this exaggerated, larger than life character, and especially in this world, you know, that's who you would follow. He's like, well, he's ruthless, he's powerful, he has supplies in some way, so you can survive if you joined his crew. So that's just who rises in this insane universe, and I think that is awesome. I think Hemsworth does a really good job of personifying that. It really is like Max or Thor smoked way too much meth and became a fucking biker overlord. It's kind of awesome. And I do, again, going back to Miller's style, that exaggerated like green screen and digital stitching that he does in this one, it does kind of work well with the mythic style of everything. Like he has examples where, you know, he'll zoom into Anya Taylor-Joy's eyes as she's watching something engulfed in flames, or watching her mother be crucified, or something like that. That
shot in the eyeball, of her seeing her mother get crucified in like the reflection of her eyeball. Like, like that's a shot you can't, I guess, really do practically.
Yeah, right? I don't think that'd be in Fury Road, and that's the difference in style between the two, in which he's found a way to kind of, you know, we're still in this universe. You still feel like you're getting some of the Fury Road stuff. You get all the awesome car stunts and all of that. But again, even with those, he's moving the camera in a way that is a little bit different than Fury Road because of the technology that he's using. And I don't know if that was a studio thing, that they're like, you're not going back out to the fucking desert the whole time, or I'm not sure.
I was gonna say he did go out to the desert, so he still shot all this in the desert.
Oh hell yeah, okay. It's just a little bit more. It's just the way the camera moves is a lot more flowy. And you know, it's not like there's not crane movement in the Fury Road or anything. It feels less practical, but not in a way that pisses me off. So I do.
No, if anything, it just makes everything feel more exaggerated and kind of epic. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's the idea that he's kind of going for.
He's even doing it narratively.
Saga aspect of this.
He's even doing it narratively speaking, technically, because by the end, when she, you know, does exact her revenge or whatever, the narration says something like, "Now the stories go on. She did this. She could have done that." So there is this idea that this is a legend, and so the style works because it feels almost like a vision or a dream or a story that somebody's telling around the fire. And so there's these larger than life aspects of it, even larger than Fury Road somehow.
And it does help him get his like kinetic, you know, like action, like to just work. Like I love the mother on the top of like the desert dunes, just like sniping dudes off the back, and or Furiosa wrapping that thing around the biker's neck. And she also bites the fucking gas line at one point on his bike, which I was just like, hell yeah, let's go. There's so much careful planning and storyboarding that goes into the way that George Miller shoots that even when he's doing it in a digitally exaggerated style, that's not our issue with digital filmmaking. Like our issue is that it's used as a lazy crux and people don't do the planning. There's never been a guy who's planned more for what his action imagery is actually going to look like than George Miller. And so even when it's a little unreal looking, and I do think it's done to interesting effect, but also it's done in service of achieving the vision of an actual visionary who is going to show you things that you have never seen before. And this is, in terms of some of the big things he's going to do in this, like when it eventually does kickstart this twin sort of overlapping and decade spanning arc, which I will say is like the biggest in terms of scope he's ever went for in one of these movies. Like Furiosa grows up.
You see her as a child and everything.
And you get Dementis, buffoonishly essentially seeking a selfish leg up in the wasteland in his position. And so like that's half the movie, eventually graduating to sort of the egotistical military conqueror, and an ineffectual kind of political leader, which we'll talk about. There's some great jokes I saw people making of connecting Dementis to like a some sort of political I can't remember. I think it was a friend of the pod, Doc, who said that, real dark Dementis just hasn't been tried the same way that they were like, what if, real communism just hasn't been done. The same thing with like dark Dementis, or Dementism or something like that. And there's something very ridiculous about his